It was a frigid Christmas Eve, the kind where the air crackled with frost and the world outside my window resembled a fairy tale. Snowflakes danced through the air, settling softly on the ground, transforming the neighborhood into a serene, white wonderland. Inside, I nestled into my favorite armchair, wrapped in a plush blanket, a steaming mug of hot cocoa cradled in my hands. The rich aroma of chocolate mingled with the scent of cinnamon, and the soft glow of twinkling lights on the Christmas tree created a warm, inviting atmosphere. As I settled deeper into my chair, a sudden, sharp knock at the door broke the tranquility. I glanced at the clock. 11 p.m. Who could possibly be visiting at this hour? My heart raced with curiosity and a tinge of anxiety. The knocking continued, becoming more insistent. With a reluctant sigh, I set my mug down and approached the door. When I opened it, I was met with an unexpected sight. A beautifully wrapped gift sat on my porch, shimmering in the moonlight. The wrapping paper was a deep crimson, adorned with a silver bow that sparkled like stars against the night sky. I stepped outside, glancing around in vain, half expecting to see someone hiding in the shadows. But the street was eerily quiet, the only sound the soft crunch of snow beneath my feet. I brought the gift inside, my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and unease. Who could have left this for me? I carefully unwrapped it, feeling the anticipation build with each layer of paper I peeled away. Inside lay an old, ornate music box, its surface covered in intricate carvings. A tiny ballerina stood poised atop it, waiting to twirl. With trembling fingers, I wound it up, and the haunting melody filled the room. A soft, melancholic tune that sent shivers down my spine. As the music played, I felt an odd sensation wash over me, as if the temperature in the room had dropped several degrees. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and I glanced at the window. That's when I saw it, a shadowy figure standing outside, its features indistinguishable in the darkness, but its gaze was fixed on me. I froze, unable to move as the music continued to play. The figure slowly raised a hand, pointing directly at me. Panic surged through my veins, and I slammed the music box shut, plunging the room into silence. My heart raced as I backed away from the window, my mind racing with questions. Who was that figure? Was it connected to the music box? The rest of the night passed in a blur of anxiety. I kept the lights on, too scared to sleep, every creak of the house amplified in the stillness. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The next morning, I found the music box sitting on the table, untouched. I never did discover who left it or what that figure wanted, but I learned that some gifts come with a price, and not all holiday cheer is meant to be welcomed. Days turned into weeks, and the music box remained a haunting presence in my home. I placed it on a high shelf, hoping it would gather dust and fade from my memory. Yet, every time I walked past it, I felt a chill run down my spine, as if it were alive, waiting for me to wind it up again. One night, curiosity gnawed at me. I found myself standing in front of the shelf, staring at the music box. The silver bow still gleamed, and the intricate carvings seemed to shimmer in the dim light. I hesitated, but the urge to hear the melody once more was overwhelming. With trembling hands, I picked it up and wound it up. The haunting tune filled the room again, and as the ballerina twirled, I felt the air grow heavy. The shadows in the corners of the room deepened, and I could have sworn I heard whispers, soft and unintelligible, echoing around me. My heart raced as I glanced at the window, half expecting to see that figure again. But this time, there was nothing. Just the stillness of the night and the eerie melody wrapping around me like a shroud. I closed my eyes, trying to block out the fear, but the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to call my name, beckoning me to join them in the darkness. Suddenly, the music stopped, and I opened my eyes to find the room plunged into darkness. I gasped, feeling a cold hand brush against my cheek. I stumbled back, terrified, and ran back to my room, pulling the covers over my head. The next morning, I found my family gathered around the tree, oblivious to the strange occurrences of the night before. As we began to unwrap gifts, I noticed something odd. The tree had changed. The ornaments that had once been bright and cheerful were now dark and twisted, reflecting a sinister energy. We decided to return the tree to the farm, hoping to rid ourselves of the haunting presence. As we drove away, I glanced back at the tree, now standing alone in the field, its branches swaying gently in the wind. I couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching us, waiting for its next unsuspecting family to bring it home. As we drove further away, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, but the memory of that tree lingered in my mind. I couldn't help but wonder about the stories it held, the secrets it whispered in the night. Perhaps it was a guardian of some sort, or maybe it was a vessel for something darker. Whatever it was, I knew one thing for sure. Some traditions are best left uncelebrated, and some trees are better left standing alone in the snow. Last Christmas, my friends and I decided to spread some holiday cheer by going caroling in our neighborhood. We bundled up in our warmest clothes, armed with a playlist of classic Christmas songs. The streets were aglow with lights, and the air was filled with the scent of pine and cinnamon, creating a festive atmosphere. As we walked, we noticed one house that stood apart from the rest. It was dark, seemingly abandoned, with peeling paint and overgrown weeds. It looked like something out of a horror movie. But we were feeling adventurous, so we approached it, thinking it would be fun to sing a song or two in front of it. We gathered in front of the house and started singing Jingle Bells. At first, it felt eerie, but we laughed it off, thinking it was just the spooky atmosphere. As we sang, I noticed a flicker of movement behind the frosted window. I brushed it off, convincing myself it was just my imagination. Suddenly, we heard a voice from inside singing along with us, but it was off-key and chilling, sending a shiver down my spine. We exchanged nervous glances, but we kept singing, thinking it was just an old record player or something. As we finished our song, the front door creaked open, revealing an old woman with wild hair and a crooked smile. She looked like she had stepped out of a fairy tale gone wrong. "Come in, dearies. Join me for some holiday cheer," she beckoned, her voice sweet yet unsettling. Against our better judgment, we stepped inside. The air was thick with a strange smell, something rotten mixed with a hint of cinnamon. The walls were lined with odd decorations, and the flickering candles cast eerie shadows that danced around the room. The woman began to sing a twisted version of Silent Night, and we realized we were trapped in her web of holiday madness. Her eyes glinted with something dark, and I felt a chill creep up my spine. Just as we were about to make a run for it, the door slammed shut behind us. Panic set in as we realized we were not just in a strange house, but in a nightmare. The woman's voice grew louder, and the room seemed to close in around us. We exchanged frantic glances, and in that moment, we knew we had to escape. We started to back away slowly, trying to find a way out. The woman's laughter echoed in the room, a sound that sent chills down our spines. Finally, we spotted a window at the back of the room. Without thinking, we bolted towards it, pushing against the old, creaky furniture that blocked our path. The woman's voice turned into a shriek as we reached the window, and with a final push, we managed to pry it open. We climbed out into the cold night air, gasping for breath as we landed in the snow. We didn't stop running until we reached the safety of the streetlights, our hearts racing and adrenaline pumping. Looking back, we could see the old woman standing in the window, her silhouette framed by the flickering candlelight, still singing her haunting tune. We never spoke of that night again, but it served as a chilling reminder that not all holiday cheer is innocent, and some carols are best left unsung. Every year, my family and I would go to the local Christmas tree farm to pick out the perfect tree. It was a cherished tradition filled with laughter and the smell of pine. But one year, something felt different. As we wandered through the rows of trees, I noticed a particularly tall and beautiful tree standing alone in a corner, its branches heavy with snow. It was unlike any tree I had ever seen, with a strange aura that drew me in. I called my family over, and they agreed it was the most stunning tree we had ever found. We decided to take it home, excited to decorate it with our favorite ornaments. As we set it up in the living room, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The tree seemed to whisper secrets in the silence of the night, and I often caught glimpses of shadows moving among the branches. My family dismissed my concerns, attributing it to the excitement of the season. On Christmas Eve, as we gathered around the tree to exchange gifts, the atmosphere shifted. The lights flickered, and a cold breeze swept through the room, despite the windows being closed. I felt a chill run down my spine as I noticed the ornaments swaying gently, even though there was no draft. That night, I was awoken by a soft rustling sound. I sat up in bed, heart pounding, and listened intently. The sound was coming from the living room. Gathering my courage, I tiptoed down the hallway, the floorboards creaking beneath my feet. As I peeked around the corner, I saw the tree glowing faintly, its lights pulsating like a heartbeat. The ornaments were moving on their own, swirling around the branches as if caught in an unseen wind. I felt a presence in the room, something ancient and powerful. Suddenly, the lights went out, plunging the room into darkness. I gasped, feeling a cold hand brush against my cheek. I stumbled back, terrified, and ran back to my room, pulling the covers over my head. The next morning, I found my family gathered around the tree, oblivious to the strange occurrences of the night before. But as we began to unwrap gifts, I noticed something odd. The tree had changed. The ornaments that had once been bright and cheerful were now dark and twisted, reflecting a sinister energy. We decided to return the tree to the farm, hoping to rid ourselves of the haunting presence. As we drove away, I glanced back at the tree, now standing alone in the field, its branches swaying gently in the wind. I couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching us, waiting for its next unsuspecting family to bring it home. As we drove further away, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, but the memory of that tree lingered in my mind. I couldn't help but wonder about the stories it held, the secrets it whispered in the night. Perhaps it was a guardian of some sort, or maybe it was a vessel for something darker. Whatever it was, I knew one thing for sure. Some traditions are best left uncelebrated, and some trees are better left standing alone in the snow.